Dungeon crawls, chaos, and mayhem. And let's not forget cats and permadeath. That's what we have today with Dungeon Crawler Carl, that we'll be talking about while we play some Heroes for Hire. This roguelike seemed like the perfect way to discuss one of my new favorite series that I just wrapped up and talk about why Warhammer 40k players, as well as just TTRPG players in general, will enjoy it. And on top of that, you're going to see a lot of gameplay for Heroes for Hire and see why it's a fun sit-down game for me as well. It's one that I've come to really enjoy, including starting my own guild in there just to have a little fun and blow off some steam every once in a while. So Dungeon Crawler Carl is one of my recent favorites. It's one that I've thoroughly enjoyed reading and actually binged pretty much the entire series in one go. I don't typically do that with series that are longer than a couple books, but I just had to with this series. It was too good to not. This book's about the Earth being destroyed and turned into a TV show dungeon that all of the remaining humans are forced to go into. And Carl, our main character, is one of them. But he's not alone. He's with his pet cat, Princess Donut. And those two go on a lot of adventures and hijinks, especially after Donut gains her sapience. And to be clear, none of that's spoilers. You cover that in the first 5 chapters, I think. This almost RPG-style adventure is really fascinating. It's not something that I normally would pick up, but I was drawn to it, especially from all the recommendations from friends and people on social media. So I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I finally picked it up and ran with it. And I think you guys will like it too. It's got a lot of the dark humor and action that you see in Warhammer 40k, as well as in a lot of the games we discuss on here. And you get all of that unique flair that you don't get to see in a lot of books, especially fantasy and science fiction these days. But just like these books, you can see from this game, it's a lot of the same. You get to do dungeon crawls. This time you're the one managing everything. Along with all of the dark humor and comedy and the RPG style feel, you get to see very unique loot items that are also tied into the humor, as well as a lot of times you get some really interesting commentary from actual commentators that appear throughout the books to really break things up and lighten things up during intense action scenes or very emotional scenes. And Matt Dinniman does a spectacular job with all of those. So, like I said, definitely a recommendation for me. Definitely one you should check out, even if the RPG style even if the RPG style literature isn't something you think you'll like. If you like fantasy or you like science fiction, I think you'll like it. And just like Dungeon Crawler Carl, Heroes for Hire is a very RPG style game, although this time you're playing as the Dungeon Guild Master. So you're playing as more Mordecai than you are actually Carl in this game, but I really enjoyed it as well. You get to pick and choose your teams and point them in different directions to actually get a lot of loot and gold and build up your prestige as a guild. So definitely would recommend this game as well. Next, let's talk about the characters themselves in Dungeon Crawler Carl and which ones are my favorite. So Dungeon Crawler Carl has some of my favorite characters from books that I've read in quite a while. This story is full of... Nope. Can't tell you how relatable these characters were, even though a few of them were quite unique. They were ones that I could see in every day and could relate to quite a bit, especially the main character, Carl. I get accused of being a little stoic and quiet a lot, which you guys don't get to see on YouTube because I'm here just blabbing off. But in my daily life, I tend to be a sit back and watch the world around me type person, not a talk and just have conversation to have conversation type guy. And Carl is very much that same way. He's very stoic and very driven, although he does have a very dark sense of humor that comes up every once in a while. I think that comes from him being a Coast Guard vet. The military tends to instill that kind of stuff in people. But his unique upbringing and everything that he's gone through in his life leads him to be the main character in the story. And I can't go into too much of that. That is heavy spoilers. Throughout all of this, his faithful companion, Princess Donut, is a staple of comedic relief and a little bit of the diva you need for this story to really have some depth. She becomes sentient really fast into the book and has to deal with this next level of reality. She has conscious memories of her life before she became sentient, but isn't fully there yet. And to be fair, I'm probably using sentient and sapient wrong. My editor has to correct me on that every time I use it because I use it wrong every single time. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm going to run with sentient just to be safe. But like I said, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. I'm okay with it. And maybe this time it'll stick. Like their game guide Mordecai, who is there to be their touchstone throughout and help them learn what they need to learn in order to survive. He's another fascinating character that Matt Dinniman goes above and beyond on what he needed to do for the story. Mordecai could have been far less multidimensional than he is, but because Matt expanded it that much, Mordecai is another beloved character that I can't wait to see what happens with him throughout the entire story. On top of that, you do have the sponsors that play a big role in there. You have Zev, their media manager, who shows up throughout the stories. And you have a lot of other major villains who actually have really good arcs for being level villains in the dungeon. But throughout all of this, there's an overarching story that's running in the galaxy beyond Earth that Carl and Princess Donut find themselves entangled in. And the layers to the story and the depth that it goes to build all of this galactic politics while still keeping you honed on this simple dungeon is really fascinating. It's probably the thing I enjoyed the most is how well Matt Dinniman's able to balance everything in this story and keep things in check and not get overwhelming. And because of this, you get some overarching villains as well besides just the level bosses. You have people like the Maestro who are out to see Carl and Donut destroyed for their own unique purposes. And it's amazing to see how well that's all weaved together. One of the things that's fascinated me the most with the lit RPG genre as a whole, and especially with Dungeon Crawler Carl, is how much the RPG actually plays a role in the story. A lot of the unique skills Carl unlocks and the abilities that he and Donut have are critical to the story. And every little bit of RPG play that is actually brought up and mentioned is often foreshadowing for things coming or is a setup for new abilities or new problems. And it's really, really cool to see how in-depth Matt had to have gone to really build out this character as well as this world, giving unique character sheets and character stats to each of the characters they run into and having to classify every single one of them with a race and a class as well as a lot of their stats and bringing it into a comfortable conversation throughout the story that doesn't feel awkward. Some lit RPG I've read in the past does get a little awkward that way. Others manage to pull it off quite well, and it's very impressive every time I see it. So this is kind of turning into a new genre that I'm interested in and would love to know more about. So I'm going to be checking out more lit RPG books here in the future. Let me know in the comments below if you know of any other lit RPGs that you really like that I should check out. This lit RPG rule goes further than just simple like hit points and simple stats. Matt puts a major emphasis on the inventory systems, the skill up levels, potions, how different fighting styles play off of each other. A lot of things you'd see if you're having a discussion about the Cosmere RPG, or if you're talking about Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, and the roles those play with each other. And it's a really interesting balance. This all rolls into a spectacular, very well balanced story that really sets up the universe as a whole that I can't wait to keep reading as soon as Matt gets the next book out. And I know it's a lot of work, so when they come out, I will be happily reading them. But for now, I am stuck waiting. The other thing I really enjoyed with this story is the humor and social commentary that we get throughout the story. Matt does a good job layering this in through Carl's inner monologues, as well as the absurdity of the sponsors and alien bureaucracy. You get to see a lot of our world reflected in the world he's dealing with, that Carl's dealing with. And it's well done to a point that I don't think I've seen in quite a while. There's a lot of layered commentary, whether it be about drug culture or the strangest of bureaucracies in modern day, or other issues that we see while watching the news. And all of this is melded into a story in a way that we don't feel like we're being preached at, which is wonderful because that happens a lot too. But not in Dungeon Crawler Carl. It happens a lot in other books, and it's always a disappointment for me when I see that. But in this series, that is not the case. It's a lot of fun with a lot of themes that we can relate to, but not in a preachy way, which I do deeply appreciate. So for all of you out there who are big fans of the Black Library and things like that, checking out Dungeon Crawler Carl is a perfect relief. So if you're storming through the Horus Heresy, trying to get through it, and you're getting bogged down like I just finished recently, and it's kind of a relief to be done with it. The Siege of Terror books were fantastic, but I couldn't do them back to back to back to back. I had to take breaks. And Dungeon Crawler Carl was one that really pulled me in during those breaks. I did thoroughly enjoy them, and they were a good relief, while still getting a lot of that dark, almost grimdark feel with a good dose of humor to lighten it up. So if you enjoy Warhammer books, definitely check out Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's a lot of fun.
Game over.
And if you've enjoyed watching some of this gameplay that's been going on while we talk, as well as all of the little things that you've seen, make sure you check out Here for Hire on Steam. It's a really fun game that's a lot of fun to casually play, and I think you guys will really enjoy it as well. Make sure you come check us out. We have our Patreon, which will be linked down in the description below, as well as our channel sponsor, Dubby Energy, that creates a lot of really good quality energy drinks that I thoroughly enjoy and absolutely recommend. And finally, if you go to my website, tylertartar.com, you can get cool merch, whether it be for my books or for the Readers of Wargame channel. And I will see you guys in the next one.